Welcome back to our live show. The World Health Organization announced Wednesday this COVID-19 viral disease is now officially a pandemic. School and universities are closing, there's limited traveling, and there are reported cases right here in Central Virginia. And this has certainly caused an overwhelmingly stressful effect on millions of people worldwide. Our great friend, Dr. Catherine Franson, is back ready to talk about how to best manage the stress and anxiety that is going on now. It is good to see you this morning. Thanks for being back.
Good to see you too.
The fact that it's Friday the 13th really isn't helping my whole mental picture either. There's a lot going on. I'm not making light of this. And each day it seems to be escalating in terms of our perceptions too.
I think so. And one of the things that we that is important to realize is that there are these increasingly important, meaningful things that are happening, but also that our brain pays attention to that, and we're sort of like it's almost like we're becoming addicted to these news reels, and we want to see more and know more, and then all of a sudden you feel you're wholly into this pandemic, and it can get really terrifying really quickly when we're paying close attention to all of it.
Arm yourself with facts.
Yes.
Do not deep dive into the emotional hype. And this happens like that.
It does.
Diving into the emotional hype. I mean, I felt like there were several water cooler conversations starting yesterday where so-and-so knew this. And then I felt myself recounting the story of like, well, I heard from so-and-so that this was happening. And so take a step back and find that trusted, reliable source of factual information.
Yeah, it's really important to have some reliable sources. Look at the CDC, at the WHO, pay attention to those kinds of sources, and be careful with all of the other news media sources that are going to put different kinds of spin on the actual news, because each one of them, they're selling eyeballs on the screen to some extent. They are reporting wonderful, terrible news, but doing a great job. But we need to constantly be vigilant that we're not getting swayed into thinking the way that this reporter or that reporter is thinking.
That's right. A trusted source is key. And then one thing to keep top of mind too is that at any time, stress can impact the immune system. And right now, part of the conversation is maintaining as much health as you can, staying well outfitted, eating, resting, and trying to mitigate that stress.
Yeah, the three things that you can do are sleep, exercise, and hydrate. These are always good things for our physical health, but we don't always realize that those are good for our mental health too. Sleeping, exercising, and hydrating are all things that will actually change the way your brain works. When we get a good night of sleep, we're better able to solve problems and think on task. When we have a good hydration, then that water, our bodies are made up of water, and every cell in our body, including our brains, needs water to be able to function properly. And then exercise. When we're exercising, we're sending more blood throughout our body and invigorating and feeding those neurons. We can think clearly, we can use good strategic long-term thought processes as opposed to the panic fear response. And so if we're taking care of ourselves in those ways, it's good not only for our body, but also for our minds.
Right, and the other component there is washing hands. As I was driving in this morning, one of the billboards has been reprogrammed that says, remember to wash your hands. So this is key. If these are not things that you're doing, eating well, sleeping, getting that exercise, and washing hands, now's the time to start.
Absolutely. And as we're moving into social distancing and learning what that means for our society, it's going to be really important to think about how do we take care of each other while not hugging on each other, like we were just saying, and making sure that we're using phone calls and Skype, talking to people that we care about on a regular basis, checking on them. It might be possible to leave groceries on a neighbor's doorstep rather than interacting with them, and other kinds of things where we can reduce our anxiety and their anxiety by doing caring things without being in physical contact. And that's going to be be an abrupt lesson for a lot of us to learn.
It's a big change. It really is. And I mean, I'm living in a stress bubble. I'm in the sandwich generation, so I'm dealing with young ones out of school now, a mother in a community who is in a vulnerable population. I have a work team. I mean, this thing goes on and on, but we have to, again, go back to those trusted sources and manage, and that really, really is key. Prepare for the worst, but hope for the best.
Yes, exactly. Doing things to prepare for the worst, it gives you something physical to do, and it's okay to acknowledge that you might be feeling really stressed. We don't need to necessarily respond with a, oh, don't worry about it, everything's going to be fine. It is going to be fine, but telling somebody not to worry, does that ever help you? It never helps me when I'm worried about something. Instead, we need to validate those fears. It's okay to be worried. Let's not panic. Let's find that balance of, okay, let's think about making lists, using good time management, and doing other things that help us to plan in a long range, slow, logical processing. And when we find ourselves getting a little too wrapped up in it, it's time to take a break.
And talk with someone. This is going to be incredibly important too. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. I really appreciate it. For more information, we'll have a direct link, WTVR.com/VTM later today. Before we head to break, we're going to send it over to Andrea.